So I've had this Primary Arms MD-ADS red dot for several years now, and I really like it. Had it on my gun for deer season this year. It's clear to look through. The battery lasts for years. It's got a ton of brightness adjustments and stuff, so totally happy with it. So I decided I wanted to put one on my shotgun, and when I went to look, this is not available anymore. But of the options that were available, I decided to go with this. This is the MD-25. So it's got a bigger field of view, but the overall size, like the package, isn't all that much bigger. I wanted to stay with something nice and small, so I went with this. What I'm probably going to do is put the new one on my Colt AR. It's a 223 basic AR. And then the smaller one will go on my 12 gauge shotgun. It's a Winchester Model 1300. So in the kit for the new one, it came with several different pieces to adjust the height. I guess these pieces can stack together, maybe, I don't know. The old setup was a good co-witness setup, so I could see my iron sights in the lower third of the view, which was nice. So, and I guess the larger size on this, it's going to give me more room to be able to see the sights. So maybe it will be less critical. I'm talking in circles here, but what I'd like to do, I'd like to have them as low as possible, especially on the shotgun. So this one here, I want it all the way down. Definitely don't want this big riser on there. So I'm hoping we can put this one really low. I'm going to go ahead and remove the base from this one. Yeah, according to the manual, the one that comes pre-installed is the standard riser with a 1.41 inch center line height. That's that guy right there. And this is a low base to achieve 0.96 inch center line height. And the two additional risers, yeah, can be stacked on either one, I think. So that's my old base for this one. But if I put it onto, so this is my old one on the low base, and I think that's going to be perfect for the shotgun. Can't get much lower than that. So I'm going to put screws in this dude. Comes with a couple different lengths of screws, so I assume that's for the different riser heights. So I better stick with the ones I took out. I'm going to clean them up and put some fresh thread locker on them. Now luckily my shotgun was already drilled and tapped, so I just needed to pick up a Weaver base for it. And I did that last night. Got those screw holes cleaned out and got that mounted and ready to go. So I've just realized this is not going to work. So these mounts are for Picatinny, and with the Weaver, the slots are too narrow. Now with my old style mount, it'll work just fine. Yeah, the old one goes on there no problem since it's just the bolt going across. Well, same thing with this other mount. This really sucks. Poopy. So the standard mount for this MD-25 unit lines up just perfectly with my iron sights. So I should just need a couple clicks of adjustment, which I'm good with this. Like I mentioned that, let me put that back up, that down. Turn the intensity down a little bit. So that looks great. It should be a comfortable height, and the mount looks pretty good. So I decided to go ahead and just order the correct Picatinny style rail instead of trying to modify this to fit on the Weaver. Because what I would need to do is grind off these two nubs or make them narrower so they could fit in the Weaver rail. But the slots aren't even big enough for the bolt going through. So I would need to modify this by grinding these off, and then I would need to modify the Weaver rail to make clearance for the bolt. I'm just going to order the right base. I think I bought this one, because it was cheap anyway. I think this was $10 or $12. So the Picatinny one was like $25. That's probably what happened is I just took the cheap route, figuring it wouldn't matter. And it wouldn't have mattered on my old one. Because that's the deal. These weighed nothing. So all of this is like, it's not needed. Like the old one had no support at all. All it did was pinch on, which, like I said, there's no weight there. It always seemed to work just fine. So that's on order. That'll be here 4 days from now. So in the meantime, let's move on to something else. So this is the inline fabrication mount for this mech press. So let's get it mounted real quick. And we'll see if we can get it adjusted for 410. Yeah, it looks good. Okay, that went together really nicely. Everything lined up perfectly, and it came with nice fasteners. So a viewer named Tim sent me this press, and I appreciate it very much. This is a Mech 600 Junior Mark V. There we go, maybe you can see it there. It's in really good shape. I took a lot of it apart and scrubbed it down really good, put some stuff in the ultrasonic cleaner, and got it oiled up. The only part I could find that was missing so far is the wad guide. And they actually have two different styles. They've got a style for 2.5-inch holes and one for 3-inch holes. They're like $2 a piece. I went ahead and ordered one of each. They should be here any day. I love how this press balances. Like, it's not wanting to tip over whatsoever, and you can actually operate it with very little support. It's a big difference from our presses in the metallic world, or at least a lot of them, that take some pretty sturdy mounting. So the 410 version of this can be set up for 2.5 or 3-inch shells. Did I mention that Tim, on top of sending me the press, sent me over 100 410 holes and a bunch of 12 gauge holes as well. So can't thank him enough. But all of these holes are 2.5s. So I want to go ahead and set this one up for 2.5. So I'm planning to, I'm going to be measuring all of my powder charges and shot charges. So this entire top section I'm not really worried about, but it sits on top. That's where your powder and your shot goes. And the big red piece here is the charge bar that has your shot bushings and stuff. I don't need to worry about any of this. I mainly need these first two stations, which are resizing and decapping and then priming. Now, to get this thing set up properly for 2.5-inch holes, the first thing I've got to be careful about is this bolt down here. So there's 2 bolt holes, and then there's multiple holes in the shaft inside that allow you to adjust the height of this thing. I'm going to pull up the 410 instructions and double check everything as I go. I can't find the documentation I was looking for. I know I saw it a couple weeks ago whenever I was cleaning this thing up, but I'm pretty sure this is right. The bolt is in the bottom hole, and in the shaft it's in the lower hole as well. I think this sizer part, I'm going to tear this thing apart real quick, make sure I'm remembering. So this is the mechanism on the first station. There was this big silver piece with this on the bottom of it. And this is the actual sizer, I believe. And I think this mechanism here is what kicks the shell out of the holder once the sizing's done. And the height of this part is not adjustable. It just goes all the way up and then gets tightened down. Then when the ram comes down, plenty of clearance there, I think. So then that goes on, and there's like a lock collar, a lock nut, and then the sizer part at the bottom. So I think this right here, this is the only adjustment we need to make. Start out with it all the way up. And then if we bring that down, we've got that much gap. So let's see here. I should have read the instructions first. Apparently there is an adjustment on that depriming punch. Should be adjusted so when the handle is in the down position, holding the punch as high as it will go, it enters the hole in the base about 1/16 of an inch. So that's where we're at right now. I'm lifting it up and the handle is down. All right, okay, I've pulled this part off. Now we can see what's going on a little bit better. It enters the hole in the base about 1/16 of an inch. So that's supposed to go into the hole 1/16 of an inch. Does the beveled part count? I don't know. I'm going to call that good enough. It's going in there a little bit. I guess if this isn't deep enough, our primers won't get popped out, I think. But I still don't see how you would adjust it. Let me pull this thing all the way apart. Yeah, am I crazy here? Went a little overboard on the oil here, but yeah, I don't see any way you could adjust this anyway, unless you added a shim here. Now there is a cam like above this. Let me bring the handle down a little bit. So we're going to be bringing the handle down. This is going to encounter a primer that it needs to push out. And then once you raise it, okay, that right there, that's what kicks our hull out of the die. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, so I switched sides with the camera. Now you're on my right. Let's just see if this works. I expect that the sizer is not going to go down far enough, but let's try it out first and see what happens. Out came the primer. The press handle is completely bottomed out, and that's what our gap looks like. Okay, let's see if this thing kicks the shell out. So the cam is making contact. I think that popped it. Come out of there. Well, it partially came out. That's a good start, I guess. I'm going to try to remove this. Yeah, okay. Just wanted to be able to have a look and see if we could tell where it was. Not really seeing anything interesting. I think it's just that last little bit of brass. The cam just didn't push it far enough to get completely off of there. Ooh, I 3D printed a tool the other day. Where'd it go? Here it is. This was I saw it on Thingiverse. I think it's like a wad seater thingy that you can use to help seat wads. Seems to be a little bit too big. Yeah, I don't think that's good. Actually, maybe that's what it's for, is for ironing out old crimps and stuff, perhaps. I don't know. Let's see if we can use it to push this off of there. There it went. And can we get it out of there now? So now our hole is stuck on this plastic piece. Good times. Plus I over-oiled this press, so now my hands are slippery. Can't get a hold of it. Okay, I got it. Just so you know, an RCBS number 4 shell holder will fit a 410. Use that to get a little bit of leverage. Okay, where were we? Well, we can see where our sizing ring stopped. Okay, the way the manual states it, let's bring this back down, which with the handle down should come to 1/16 of an inch from touching the base. If adjusted down too far, it will crush the rim of the shell. This will also enlarge the rim, which will prevent the shells from entering the magazine in some pumps and automatics. Okay, so handle's all the way down. That is where we were before. You know, I think I got some freaking feeler gauges around here somewhere. I guess I don't. I can't find them. Let's try about right there, maybe. What do you think? I like that. Let's try that. I went to tighten it and moved my adjustment. Still look okay? Let's see what it does. Well, that sucks. I thought I could use my shell holder to get a hold of it, but the depriming pin is in the way. I also need to tighten this center post. Yeah, I think I had just finger tightened it because I wanted to check the instructions one more time, make sure I had it in the right spot. I wonder if these holes are just a little bit weird, maybe. Here's a Winchester Super X high brass, and here is what I'm playing around with. I only have a couple of these. That's why I wanted to use them for testing. I didn't really have enough to load with, probably. And that brass is a little bit longer. You get what I'm saying? If that brass wasn't so long, it'd be out of there by now. That worked. Looks like we could probably still go a little bit farther maybe. I haven't actually checked my gun to see what's fitting and what's not. I've got it right here. Let me try a couple. Okay, this is what just went through the sizer. Seems good. And here's one. So this would have been fired in Tim's gun. No problem. Here's that Winchester Super X. No problem there either. Is this a waste of time? I think this is a waste of time. Yeah, I just went through several more and they all fit in my gun. But I guess the problem is I don't have any other way to decap them. So here's a couple pieces that have shorter brass. Let's see if these pop out easier. That primer didn't really want to come out. All right, let's see if it pops. Seems to have done the same thing. I was just looking to see if there's any adjustment up here. Yeah, see there's a cam on the back side that is important during crimp adjustment. This back here is the crimper, and it does have an adjustable, an oblong hole where you can rotate it a little bit. Let me loosen this one up, see, maybe there's some hiding adjustments back there. We ain't got nothing. You know, a guy could open that hole up a little bit, make his own adjustment. Okay, for that to actually work, then this needs to be useful. Like that little bit of additional travel needs to be useful. So here's another hole. I'll show you guys the linkage instead of the bottom. So out comes the primer. Then we raise the handle and it pushes. And it's stuck. Okay, so I need to tap on this. I think that's all we would get. Yeah, I think that's it. And still had to pull the shell pretty hard, but it did come out. I think I just realized something. If you remember how I was saying there's really no adjustment here, right? That just goes up and then that screws down. But that's not really true. Like, let's use the threads to judge here. So we can see about one thread. Let me back this down a little bit, where right now it's loose. I guess if we put this collar on here, we could use it to take up the slack. That would lower the whole assembly. But it doesn't change the distance, does it? All that does is raise or lower the resizing ring. The distance from the tip of the cam to the end of the decapping pin, which is what's pushing it off, is never going to change, right? But the sizer's higher. Yeah, maybe that will change something. Let's try one. No, if anything, I think I made the problem worse. There is a pretty healthy flat spot on top of that thing, and a little bit of wear. Not enough to be a problem, I don't think. Let's try to just use the decapping part. Because if the shells are going to fit in my gun without the sizing ring, then I don't see any reason to use it. The second station here doesn't have any adjustment. This is where we install primers, and this rod is a fixed length, and inside of this cup is just a little anvil with that part sitting right on top of it. So let's try that real quick. So this should sit right there. Took a little bit of force to seat, but not bad. And I think that looks good. Talked about tightening that up and then never did it. That's better. Primer station is working. So I've been pondering this mechanism a little bit more, and I don't think rotating this is going to get us any more, because it's just the tip of the cam there that's touching. Okay, I'm an idiot. I'm an idiot. I'm an idiot in the best way. I think back whenever I had this press apart, I never even tried to take this silver thing off of there. But looking in the manual, this is the adjustment. So this is a lock nut. And by the looks of it, somebody's kind of boogered it up pretty good already in the past. Like, what a freaking pain in the butt. Like, there's no way to get a hold of it. I can see why it's gotten all jacked up like that. It's like your hole rides up there. I guess it's not at all a tight fit. So I'm thinking about this like an expander ball in one of our metallic resizing dies, and it's not. Let me go find some vice grips. Okay, I think I got it loose, or got it started a little bit. There it goes. I think that was up on there as far as it could possibly go. Okay, let's try this again now. If you remember, they said that should be a 1/16 of an inch below with the handle down. Okay, that's a good bit lower than it was. You can actually see some threading there now. I think what's happened is this is bent. Right about there it is bent, and this takes a bit of a left turn. You can see as it goes through the hole, it's going through the left-hand side. Let's just take the whole thing apart. Okay, let's see if that's a little bit easier to work with. Yeah, that's kicking those right out, no problem now. So I think this is where I want to end this video. I'm really glad I got that ejection figured out. I would have felt pretty stupid if I didn't catch that one on my own. So tomorrow's video, I'm not sure yet. Maybe we'll load up some 410. Just some basic standard loads with some of these. The WAA 410HS are the standard wads I've got. So I might go ahead and give that a shot. But the smarter move might be to switch over to 12 gauge and start playing with some roll crimps a little bit. I have a feeling that the little 410 cases are going to be more difficult than the than the 12s. I don't know. That's it for today. Picatinny rail on order. Mech 600 Junior set up for sizing. I'm happy with that progress. So I'll see you guys tomorrow.